What am I supposed to do? And how in the heck do I do it? What's going on, everybody? Today we are talking about doubt, what it is, and how to overcome it. So let's jump right in. Now, when we jump into doubt, it's really, really difficult to define. Why? Because the definition has actually historically changed a number of times. So first off, we need to know, what even is doubt? How do I define it? Because even person to person, if you go to them, will give you different explanations of what they feel like doubt means. So we're going to take it back, and the reason we're doing this is because there are actually good parts of the modern day definition of doubt. Good parts that we want to lump in with this uncomfortable feeling and just toss right out the window. We want to keep those, but eliminate the bad parts. So, to differentiate, we'll start right off with the fact that doubt itself is two parts. And the first part is non-emotional. There's no emotion attached to it. It's a really simple calculation. And that is a judgment call. And it's one we're not able to make, actually. But we start doing it. It's trying to decide, is this thing going to be okay or not okay? What's the percentage likelihood of it happening? And then comes an emotion right on top of that makes us incapable of making that decision. It's this hesitation that says, oh no, the odds aren't in my favor, and this is a really important decision. This matters so much to me. I'm not gonna make a decision. I can't. That's doubt. Both of those things combined. First off, looking at the scenario, trying to come to a conclusion. Second off, being unable to come to any conclusion. Now, that doesn't mean your answer is going to be right. Conviction doesn't mean you're right. It just means you're willing. You're going to shoot for it. It's the Han Solo approach. And by the way, when we're talking doubt, if you'll nerd out with me for a moment, Han Solo is my favorite character in overcoming doubt. Back in Star Wars, when they're telling him, Han, the odds are, gosh, I don't even remember, it's like 10 million to 1 that we're gonna make it. And he goes, never tell me the odds. That right there, that is true conviction. Everyone else is full of doubt. They're gonna die if they don't make it through this scenario, and the odds are so against them. Everyone's hesitating, what do we do? And Han's like, I don't care, I'm just gonna go for it. That right there is an example of overcoming doubt. Now, hopefully our situation isn't always such terrible odds, but that's part of what the factor is. Now, the good part of doubt that we've lumped in, that's when we make this little judgment argument, when we figure out what the situation is, and we make a decision. There's no hesitation. We actually make a decision that says, I'm not sure this is going to be good for us. Now, that right there, that's discernment. That's making a choice based on what we've seen, actually considering everything and saying, I'm not sure this is the best case, so I'm going to hold off. But there's no confusion at the end of that. There's no hesitation. There's no concern of whether or not I did or did not do the right thing. It comes to a conclusion. It can still be a very uncomfortable process. And other ways that we might look at this, if it's maybe a little less on the logical side, this might just look like your natural ability to perceive situations, your perception that goes on, your intuition even. It's simply processing the world around you. That's a good thing. We should really not stop processing the world around us, but that little hesitation piece, that right there, that's what makes all of this anxiety come up. I've heard time and time again that the biggest, most stressful decision that you can have is one that's not made. And that has nothing to do with how big it is, how small it is. It's literally just, if you have to sit on this thing, the longer you have to sit on it, the longer you have to think about it, the more painful it becomes, the more anxiety-ridden you become. And a big factor of that is the doubt. Now, we just kind of explained the bad part there, which is this hesitation. So how do we get over this? How do we do that Han Solo approach? Because you know what? The situation that they were going into at the time, the odds are stacked against them, and that's so exciting for a movie, but not making that decision probably would have ended in them not making it. So what does it matter if the odds are against you if you know you lose by doing one, so you do two? Now, there might only be a 10% chance, and you wanted to hesitate because there's only a 10% chance, but guess what? You would have been wrong either way. At least you got 10%. That's awesome. I've had people constantly ask me, and this is the next part here, how when I go into major meetings, major circumstances, that I can go in and just be calm as a cucumber walking through that door. Now, first I always let them know, you did not see me 10 minutes before that meeting because I was freaking out. That was me understanding the importance of the situation and doing everything in my power before I got into that meeting to make sure it went as good as it possibly can. But the second I walk through those doors, doubt has no place for me. And the reason being, every single time that we go into this narrative, our perspective is the defining characteristic. That's the number one problem in this entire thing. My perspective will dictate my doubt. What I mean by that is, how big is it? How small is it? If some small decision feels like it's life or death, you may sit there trying to decide what to do for dinner, and you just can't come up with something because for some reason this decision is incredibly important. And the level of importance that you've placed on it has now cast doubt on whether or not you should choose A or B. It becomes scary because what's the outcome after that? There's so much uncertainty involved in it. And the best way to eliminate uncertainty is to change our perspective. Now, when we talk about those big meetings, like I said, this may be something that decides my career, my future for the next 10, 15 years. However, if I go into that meeting assuming that the next 10 or 15 years will be defined by how good I speak my future, whether or not I'll be successful, no, that's something I put in God's hands because I can't control the future. I have no way of determining it, no way of solving it. It may be a good thing for me to fail this. It may be a good thing for me to pass this. I don't know the answer to that. So if I go in with this incredible amount of doubt about every question I'm asked, everything they come at me with, should I tell them this? Should I not? I'm going to walk in with conviction and go, hey, if the odds are 60-40, I'm just going to choose the 60 and roll with it. If they're 50-50, the answer's always A. This has been my joke for a long time, and I think some of my friends have been truly frustrated. Whenever anybody can't make a decision, it's always number one. It's just a little joke I started doing a while ago. Turns out works amazing because if the odds are 50-50, it doesn't matter. Just pick. So that's something that I bring to the table in a lot of stuff. Because if I'm trying to determine the entire future based on this one event, I don't actually have enough information to even make that judgment call. Of course I'm going to hesitate. Of course I'm going to freak out. Of course I'll be scared. That makes sense. If you don't want to be scared, stop trying to predict the future when you're not capable of it. Let's change the perspective and do what we can with the things that we have. And at the end of the day, even if you completely fail, even if everything you do is garbage, that you can't come back and say, yeah, I did a great job. No, it was terrible. It was truly awful. You can say you did the best with what you had. And that is something that will edify you for the rest of your life. You didn't just hesitate and not make a choice because, and this is going to hurt some people and break everybody in here. When you don't make a decision, you've made a decision. That will always be choice 3, is hesitating and not making a decision. That in itself can be so much more damaging than anything else that's going on. So even if we're wrong, we want to simply make the best choice that we can with the information that we have available. And in doing so, you'll build your confidence, you will edify yourself and feel better about what you do, and the people around you will respect your ability to make a choice. So, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, go ahead and check out my latest book, Abide, available on Amazon.